All right, AP European history folks, this is me there, but not there. I apologize for my absence on Friday, but taking care of some family business. So hopefully you are doing what you should be doing, watching a video, doing a little bit of reading, and beginning this new unit here, The Age of Religious Tension, which starts for us in 1556. That's the year that Charles V divides the Holy Roman Emperor into two parts. It's the year after the Peace of Augsburg in 1555, and the period ends in 1648, with the Peace of Westphalia ending the 30 Years' War, which in my opinion is the stupidest war of all time. More on that later. What I want to do is make my way down this front page, talking about this basic idea of a divine right monarchy, and then at the same time get through Philip II and Elizabeth I, and maybe talk about the French Wars of Religion as well. So off we go. Explain Bossuet's theory of absolutism, or the divine right monarchy. Bossuet is a French political theorist, and France is the country that's going to really master the idea of divine right monarchy, and so it makes perfect sense that in France you're going to have this movement towards explaining why the monarch should rule just as God rules. One God, one king, one country. And as a result of it, there is absolutely unlimited power for that king. And this religious explanation or religious endorsement, if you will, of the government makes it even stronger than it had been in the past. And as I said, the French kings are the ones who are really going to master the idea of absolutism over time. Leaving France, we find ourselves with the English and the Spanish, and one of the great wouldn't it have been cute couples of all time. Let's introduce the characters. Philip II liked to dress in black, somber, dark, serious, brooding. Would have fit in really well, sort of Depeche Mode circa 1986. Kind of right in there, black nail polish, kind of very sort of a vibe. I'm not trying to mock anybody. I'm having fun now. Okay, but he was a very serious sort. Philip is referred to as the most Catholic king while I look at my chart here. So from a religious standpoint, Catholic to the core. Spain is not one of those countries that has a Protestant problem. They are not going to waver in any way. They are Catholic and Catholic some more. And Philip is going to use the substantial treasury of the New World in order to try and make sure that Catholicism is the #1 religion of Europe. Like his father, Charles V, Philip II believes in this idea of religious uniformity. He believes that there could be one religion throughout Europe, and that religion will be Roman Catholicism. He will fight for it. He will sponsor fighting for it. He will push for it his entire life. Unfortunately, by the time he's done in 1598, it hasn't happened. On the other hand, Elizabeth I, daughter, if you will remember, of King Henry VIII, the third of Henry's children after Edward VI and Mary I to climb to the throne of England, and a different character, right? Keep in mind that Philip was for a brief while married to Elizabeth's half-sister Mary. That made sense. Philip, Catholic, Mary, Catholic. And when that relationship ended with Mary's death, Philip decided, why not continue? And he offered Elizabeth the opportunity to marry him. What a nice guy. I'm joking here. And Elizabeth said, no thank you. Elizabeth is remembered for being one of the great monarchs ever, and really one of the greatest monarchs for sure that the English ever had. Strong, stable, wise, diplomatic, smart, able to negotiate, able to sort of maneuver her way in a man's world, which it really was, and bring what people did not expect. Remember what the opinion of women rulers is. It's what her sister did. It's chaos and bloodshed and anarchy and a complete mess of a society. Everyone thought what Mary I did, that's what was going to happen. Elizabeth, on the other hand, got into the throne and put together 45 years of strength, growth, stability, religious happiness, and a general overall feeling of calm. Now, she never marries. There is no heir, so in other words, the Tudor line will end when Elizabeth dies in 1603, and the throne will pass to her cousins, the Stuarts. The Stuarts are from Scotland. Aye, in the wee north. The rain's a lot up there. Aye, wee buggers. We will talk more about the Stuarts later on. But for now, let's talk about Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a Protestant. She's an Anglican. She is raised by her father under his church, this new Anglican faith, and it's important to remember that in living this life, Elizabeth has seen what bloodshed comes from religious difference. She's seen it partially under her father's rule. She's certainly seen it under the rule of her sister. Elizabeth premieres this idea of being a politique, Politique, politique. A politique is a person who works in order to make sure that she is going to allow religious harmony within the realm. In other words, religion is the less important thing. Philip II, most important thing. Elizabeth, the less important thing. What do I focus on? I focus on trade. I focus on keeping war out of my realm. Political stability. So here's how it's going to work for Elizabeth. You, resident of England, are going to swear allegiance to the Anglican faith. You're going to. Now that may sound like religious uniformity, but here's the catch. If you would like to go home, and in the privacy of your own home, testify to another faith, if you want to be a Catholic, if you would like to be some other form of Protestant, if you want to practice a different religion, you do it in your own home. You will pay taxes to support the state-sponsored Anglican Church. You will swear in public, if asked to, that this is the righteous church, and you will acknowledge me as the monarch of the realm. I'm Elizabeth in this. But after that, it's up to you. And what that allows people to do is to simply go home and worship as they pleased. And this notion of being a politique brought stability and peace and calm. A very different view, right? Look at those two columns now. You've got Philip, diehard Catholic, end of the earth, taking the system down. And on the other hand, you have Elizabeth. Reconciliation with people who aren't Catholic, or aren't Anglicans, I beg your pardon, an attempt to make a peaceful, stable realm. Role in the Netherlands, revolt in the Armada. While Philip is the king of Spain, one of the territories that falls under his control are the Netherlands. Now, the Netherlands have never quite loved the control of the Spanish king. The Calvinist religious movement settled in deeply in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands attempted to break away from a revolt against Philip very quickly. Philip's answer here was to send money and troops to try and squash the revolt, to try and get rid of this religious problem. Now, we should also remember, going over the other column, that the Netherlands is not fighting alone here. Elizabeth is funneling money to this Protestant movement in the Netherlands. Are they the same kind of Protestants as Elizabeth? No. But remember that if they fall, if the Netherlands falls, and Philip puts his foot back into the Netherlands, that the English Channel is only so far across, and that Philip would use that spot in the Netherlands to launch an invasion of England. And Elizabeth knows it. And so, in a very wise, savvy, Machiavellian move, she is helping a different Protestant movement to fight a Catholic king so that she doesn't have to fight that same Catholic king. Okay? Elizabeth is essentially the international defender of Protestantism, in the same sense that Philip is the international defender of Catholicism. Philip understands that Elizabeth is doing this, and he's frustrated by it. Part of this must be personal. You didn't take my hand in marriage. I don't like you. Okay, but a lot of this is also very political. As Philip begins to ramp up his forces, he decides that only a swift, one amazing attack of England can topple Elizabeth. He amasses what we call the Spanish Armada, and in 1588 he sails a fleet off to England to try and knock out their fleet and then invade the country. Now, the English are serious about this invasion business to this day. 1066, that's the last time anyone has stormed those shores. Philip II tried, failed. Napoleon thought about it, didn't work. Hitler thought about it, not going to happen. So the English take this very seriously, and they begin to plan for Philip's invasion. Now, truth be told, the English have smaller, faster ships, and the weather comes down and just wallops Philip's slow, massive armada. And by the time the fight is on, the English have dethroned the Spanish as the masters of the waves. Philip knows ahead of time that this is not going to be successful unless there's some miracle of God. But remember, here's a man who believes that there's no way that God would ever not pick him. That if all I need is a miracle from God in order for this to happen, I can count on that. God will intervene on my behalf to smote down this Protestant woman and bring religious uniformity back to Europe. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen for him. And as a result of it, this idea of a one religion Europe takes a big hit. Let's talk about the economic growth. Philip is horrendous with money. Horrendous. In the course of his rule of the Spanish throne, Philip bankrupts the treasury 7 times. 7. That many. 7 times. He repudiates the debt. Repudiate. That's a good vocabulary word. What does it mean? It means to go, you know all that money I owe you? Yeah, I don't owe you any money anymore. There it is. And he's just that powerful, that he can say to people, I don't owe you any money. And the debt goes away. 7 times Philip does that. He has all this money coming in from the New World. He has this massive opportunity to invest. And what does he do with it? He absolutely lets it run through his fingers. Under Spain, or under Philip II, I beg your pardon, Spain goes from being the world's #1 commercial power to really being a state in massive decline. Okay, there will be other rulers after Philip II, but none of them are as devastatingly destructive as Philip was financially. On the other hand, Elizabeth supervises a period of great harmony and peace, and as a result of it, business expansion. She begins to look into New World exploration, and here's the kicker, she sponsors pirates who are going to steal money from who? Philip II. So one of the reasons that Philip is losing money is because Elizabeth, who wouldn't accept his hand in marriage and who beat his Armada, is stealing his money. So Philip is having a very bad day, and Elizabeth is the real root cause of it. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, are 2 rulers with 2 very different ideas. One of them, Philip II, is convinced that religious uniformity is the way. Unfortunately, it's the undoing of Spain. The other one, Elizabeth I of England, is trying new ideas. Let's see if we can religiously get along by having a somewhat form of toleration while still having a public profession of the faith. Religious toleration led to a very steady, peaceful realm in England. It allowed Elizabeth to guide the country with a steady hand, and as a result of it, very quickly, Elizabeth becomes one of these great monarchs of the realm. Now, weirdly enough, it doesn't dispel the notion that women are not great rulers, but it certainly should chip away at that idea. Have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.